ReadJunk. ReadJunk. ReadJunk Podcast.
ReadJunk Podcast with your host, my guy.
Hey, it's the ReadJunk Podcast. I'm your host, Brian Kremko. So I guess the world is ending and a lot has changed since the last time I had an episode. Been keeping busy with some artwork, so I haven't really had time to do podcast stuff. But I don't know, I come and go with doing podcasts. Sometimes I have the urge, sometimes I don't. Now I do. So let's see what happened. The coronavirus hit the US and now everyone's stuck inside and can't go anywhere. Everyone's working from home and it's pretty bleak over here right now. I've been working from home for at least 5 months now and because of medical stuff. So I'm used to it. It's just now I'm with my family, so it's making it a little bit interesting, especially trying to work with a 4-year-old. So I figured I'd start some new episodes up, and since everyone's inside and bored, and I feel like just talking to some other people for a change. This episode's with my twin brother, Matt, and our friend Chris, and we just talk all about SNL for the most part. Some tangents here and there, but we talk about our favorite sketches, cast members, some of our least favorite sketches and cast members as well, you know, stuff along those lines. I should have more episodes in the future, so keep your eyes peeled for that. One quick thing for social media, I changed my art Instagram account to Brian Kremko Art instead of Brian Kremko Design, so give me a follow if you're not following already. I've started up a comic strip called Brian Sense of Humor. I try to do like 1 or 2 I don't know, like a month, I guess, but been pumping them out pretty frequently. You know the rest of the stuff to click on and like. It's all in the description or it's on the site. Just ReadJunk.com and just type ReadJunk and you'll find it. So let's get this episode going. Here's my chat with Matt and Chris talking SNL right here on the ReadJunk Podcast. Okay, we're in quarantine podcast mode here. We're talking with Chris and my brother Matt, and we're talking, I don't know, just shooting the shit, talking about our favorite SNL sketches and seasons and whatever, just something to talk about because it's been a pretty boring week. Being stuck inside, not being able to go anywhere really. So how are you guys holding up?
I'm doing pretty good. I still have to go into work. Unfortunately, the data center, I can't work from home, so somebody's got to go look at blinking lights and argue with people in India if the servers are actually messed up or not.
Well, at least
lucky you.
Yeah, at least you're like 6 feet away from the people from India.
Not far enough away.
Yeah. But Matt, you're working from home too?
Yeah, for the last 2 weeks.
And
going slowly insane, but that's okay. I get to watch a lot more TV.
Yeah. Welcome to my world. I've been working from home for 5 months now.
Oh. It's like I saw one of the memes. They were like, people just getting off house arrest all of a sudden coming into this quarantine. It's like you're back into it.
Yeah, and then Jared Leto came out of like his like meditation thing in the desert, and then he's like, oh wait, there's a virus now. I have to go back into isolation.
He's a moron. He's only been in isolation for 14 days. This virus thing's been going on for months. Like, where the hell has he been?
He's too busy sending piles of shit and like dead vampire bats to his co-stars.
Oh wait, is he a poop sender subscriber?
I guess when he was playing the Joker, he was sending like all those. He was just like trying to get into character, and was like sending stuff to all the cast members, and it's like of like dead animals and like panties or something. I don't know.
you know, there's a website, poopsenders.com, where you can anonymously send poop to people. Not that I've ever done that.
I'd rather just shit in a box and just send it personally.
Yeah, but then you have to go to the post office and you have to ask it, be like, oh, is there anything hazardous, non-perishable?
No,
like,
it's liquid, fragile, potentially hazardous. I'm like, yes, all of the above. Please send anyone.
It's like, just be happy we're doing business with you. We could have sent this FedEx or UPS or DHL.
I know. I was like sending stuff. So I went last week, and that was like the last time I went. And I brought hand sanitizer, and the lady sitting there, she has her gloves on, and she starts coughing, and I'm like turning my head. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? I'm like, all right. So then like I canceled all my like eBay auctions, and I'm like, all right, I'm not going to the post office anytime soon.
Well, it's going to get worse because, I just picked up on it this morning when I got up. It's like allergy season is kicking in. It's like, now anybody sneezes, they're going to start pulling knives and guns on people.
Well, sneezing is not one of the symptoms, but I have the allergy season too. And yesterday I had a fever of like 99.3. I was like, oh shit. But then thankfully it went down. But I was like, after I did cardio and then took a shower, so I didn't know but I had like a headache. So I'm like, it's gotta be allergies.
Yeah, of course. It was 75 degrees today, and then tomorrow and the other days are 50. So it's like
and
a yo-yo.
It's supposed to snow, I guess, on Monday. Yeah.
Well, because why not?
Yeah. Throw some frogs and other stuff to cast us down because, this year's going great so far.
Yeah. Wow. But okay. So, I mean, I guess Chris came up with the idea to talk about SNL because I'm like, I felt like I haven't really done a podcast since January with Adam talking about the Oscars. So I'm like, I just haven't really been motivated to do it, honestly. But so you want to talk about SNL, like our favorite? You were originally thinking of like our top 5. I'm like, I can't think of top 5.
Yeah, I mean, so basically the whole concept was, we were trying to brainstorm some ideas for different podcasts just to kind of give different vibes because, ReadJunk could be anything from like a punk, band to a ska band to like DVDs or anything. I was just like, well, Saturday Night Live is like a common bonding factor. I used to remember back in like middle school, Comedy Central used to run them like during the day, and we just shoot in just to see all these like cool episodes because it was a multimedia experience. You'd see some extremely great, sketch comedy, and then you have those musical performances. Be like, oh, is this the Faith No More episode? I think there was the Fishbone episode too. There was all kinds of cool stuff like
Pogues, Boston.
Yeah,
I think I don't think Real Big Fish was ever on it. No, I don't think so. I think probably
really
Rancid,
was,
right?
I think Rancid was once, maybe Madness, Specials. I don't think anyone else was.
I mean, Boston's had to be.
Was Madness like where they would have been early on, right? In the
that would
early
have been
80s.
like the early.
Yeah.
They were on the young ones though, but. But yeah, so Chris is like, oh, let's do a top 5 sketches. I'm like, you can't do that. It's just kind of hard. So it's like I had to have like a list of about like almost 30 of reoccurring and then sometimes just standalone sketches. Like the Celebrity Jeopardy ones are still like my top favorite. I don't know how many they did, but every time they do it, it's just pure gold.
I mean, like, as far as, like, sketches, I mean, like, reoccurring characters, I mean, that was kind of easy, but I don't know, to me, like, I wanted to pick blanket things. Like, obviously, I would pick Wayne's World, but, like, I decided to when I went through mine, I decided to pick, like, a specific one out of all of them, I guess, that would represent it better than anybody else. I mean, there was always, like, really cool stuff like that,
Well, what particular Wayne's World episode was it? Was it the Aerosmith one? Was it the Madonna one? I was thinking the Madonna one. Like, I mean, those are the 2 standalone.
Aerosmith was pretty good, and then Wayne Gretzky.
Oh,
yeah, the one with the Aerosmith one, not specifically because of Aerosmith. I mean, the whole premise was kind of cool. It's like, he was like, oh, we got Aerosmith sitting up in the breakfast nook, and that was
talking with my mom.
Yeah, and I guess my favorite part of the episode, because pretty much the ones that I picked for like my top 5, I think are very reflective. Yeah, they're really reflective of my sense of humor. And Tom Hanks in particular does something hysterical in this that every time I've ever checked the microphone,
Sibilance.
I do it. Yes, I do that.
Sibilance. 1,
Yeah.
2. And then you got to add the scarves to the microphone.
Oh, hopefully he's okay right now.
Yeah, he's fine.
Yeah, I know it's like every celebrity's like coming, like every article's like, oh, this person got it. Oh, this person got it. I'm like, we're all gonna fucking get it.
Well, I mean, if Keith Richards gets it, then we know it's real.
Oof.
He's probably the source. No, or maybe Ozzy is because it's bat related.
He did get sick earlier this year.
Yeah. Hopefully he pulls out. Yeah, I really wanted to see him play for one last time, but he hasn't been sounding good on tour lately. But
honestly, with him, I mean, it's just like I think he's at a point in his life where it's like even these new albums that he's releasing, it's like, you know, I don't think he's releasing because he wants to do it. I think Sharon just wants to put him out there, and I'm kind of glad the tours got canceled because, I mean, it's like, come on, how much longer can it go? Like, the last time I saw him was probably 14 years ago, and even then, it was an hour-long set. He wasn't even on stage more than 40 minutes.
Was it Ozfest?
Yeah, Ozfest 2006. They did, like, he came out and did a special set on, like, a couple select dates where he came out and he closed out the second stage, which was halfway through the day, which is weird because you're going to Ozfest and, you know, it's Ozzy's festival and he's playing halfway through the day and it's like, no, there's other bands on the big stage over there on Randall's Island. It's just like, yeah, but Ozzy just played.
Like, oh, we got to go see what new metal band was playing at the time.
Yeah, I think that year System of a Down headline, and I think it was weird. Yeah, it was weird because they headlined, and then over there it was like you went over. It was Lacuna Coil, then it was Hatebreed, but they were on the main stage, which didn't make any sense because you're Hatebreed. You should be on the second stage.
They were in Triple X, man. They're mainstream now.
Yeah, that was 2006. Yeah, so that was that time period.
I watched what was the Honest trailer for that recently. I'm like, man, these movies are fucking terrible. Like that first one is terrible, and they're like
saw that in the theaters too. God.
Yeah, and they're quoting like the Vandals, like it's like they're like the most punk rock band of all time. Like, yeah, they're okay. I mean, like, but you think like all these anarchists are like quoting the Vandals out of all the bands. I don't know.
Yeah. When you listen to the Jamie Josta podcast, he talks about the experience of when they went in to cut that one scene where they used the Hatebreed song, how he was in there. Like, it was like a religious experience to him, cutting I Will Be Heard into that.
Is that the one when he's jumping out and snowboarding?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. It's bad that I remember the fucking movie, but...
Hey, you know what? That's like his almost Oscar-winning performance, so we'll just give it to him.
Vin Diesel, who do you think's a better mumbler? Is it Vin Diesel or Tom Hardy? Tom Hardy in a different accent each time.
Yes, Tom Hardy. Yes, I'm paid.
Him in Peaky Blinders is like, what the fuck is he saying?
I have to watch it with subtitles because it's like all the accents are all over the place.
It's so weird though when you see something with subtitles because like it'll be like a regular person speaking and then there's subtitles. I'm like, isn't that kind of offensive? Like we should probably be trying to understand what they're saying.
Yeah,
and you're giving us a cheat sheet.
Yeah,
they do that with a lot of the Bravo shows.
And like reality TV. I was gonna say like American Pickers. I'm like, when I used to watch it, I'm like, this guy. I mean, he's Southern, but I'm like, I can understand him.
Well, like I think the original subtitle show was the Osbournes, and they had the subtitles for Ozzy.
Oh, that's the worst. Is like my mom would watch the Osbournes. They were a couple of years ago. Jack and Ozzy were going on like a road trip or something, and she was watching in the other room. All I hear is beeps every 5 seconds. I'm like, "What? Is there any actually dialogue, or is just some swearing constantly?"
They apparently claimed when they did that original MTV show that they didn't curse that much.
Right.
So obviously that was bullshit.
Huh. All right, so we went off a tangent already. We got to swing back to SNL. I mean, as a standalone, I like Natalie's rap was a good one, but a lot of the Lonely Island, like I didn't like the first couple that they did, but then towards the end they did like so many good ones. I Just Had Sex, and the one with Michael Bolton is still like a favorite of mine.
Jack Sparrow, yeah,
the Jack Sparrow.
Does the Ross Trent one count as a Lonely Island one? Because I love that one to death. I still revisit that one. Ross Trent. So basically, it's I thought it was a Lonely Island thing, but he does this whole thing where he's a white Rastafarian.
Like so, like okay, it's sounding familiar. Yeah. And is he walking around the street or something?
Yeah, so like he's going through the whole thing, so he's basically saying like every stereotypical Rastafarian word. And probably my favorite part of the whole song is there's one part in the video where he's walking by and he's saying all his like, you know, Jamaican, you know, slurs and everything, and then all of a sudden he sees some Jamaican people and then he just gets real quick.
Right. Yeah, right. I think he was saying like Rasta or something over and over, or it's something.
DVD of Cool Runnings.
Yeah, it's coming back to me now I need to go see that one when I get back, because I was laughing. I think when I originally saw it, but yeah, I haven't remembered that one since. Yeah, I mean, there's been so many Lonely Island stuff. I kind of wish it's funny that SNL, their best material like the last decade has been all the stuff that's been pre-taped.
Oh yeah.
And it's like I kind of wish they would kind of steer away from the live and just do Saturday night and not do it live anymore. But I mean, sometimes having it live, like seeing people mess up their lines, is actually kind of more fun. It's not more funny, but it's funnier than the actual sketch.
Well, I mean, that had its ups and downs. I mean, there were times that the Jimmy Fallon stuff got a little...
Yeah, like he was doing it on purpose. You can tell.
He shouldn't have been in those sketches anyway.
But
yeah, he almost ruined the cowbell sketch. It's like, oh god! Every time I watch it, I see him snicker, and it's almost cringeworthy. I'm like, just let him do the sketch, man. They got this.
Yeah, him and Horatio Sands were like the two that were always fucking up their lines. But I like as someone for Weekend Update for Stefan, I'm like that it worked in their favor, I think. Because like they would write the sketches right before he would go on, so he wouldn't know what he was saying, so he would just start busting out laughing, which made it 10 times funnier than what he was actually saying. So you're just anticipating him fucking up his lines.
Yeah, Bill Hader's he's just great. I can't think of anything I didn't like that he did on the show.
Yeah, he did like the Californians, which is another one I have on my list, which is it's like a one-off kind of like joke, but it's still funny just because then you hear Californian people talking and like, oh, did you take the 405? Like, what is it? Like, going old school, I have like Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood, which Eddie Murphy reprised when hosted this year. So that was seeing the gentrified version of it was pretty funny. But that one always stood out to me as being a funny sketch.
I remember we used to go to the video store, like Joe's Video or something, and we would rent like the best of Eddie Murphy, and it would be like those sketches.
And Mike Myers and Chris Farley, it was always those three. And then like some of them they don't have, like they have a lot of sketches on YouTube, but they don't have it like all of them, because they have that one that was Tim Meadows and Chris Farley singing like, oh, they're not lovers, but they sing like they are kind of thing, and they're like
1-800 as if gay.
Is that what it is? Oh, when it's as if gay.
Well, what I noticed too, you know, when I was going over these, I don't know if you remember this, but like I originally got Netflix in like 2011 when I was bored, and I noticed they had a lot of SNL episodes. So I'm like, oh crap, I'm going to go back and watch these, because I guess the rights changed hands, and it was from Comedy Central to VH1, and I don't even know where SNL reruns are now. But like the one thing that I picked up on in those Netflix ones, and I don't know if it's forever like this, is there's some episodes that are just like they're hacked up to like 20 minutes, and I'm like, how could you do this? Because there was one that I picked specifically on my list from season 16, episode 15. There was a Michael J. Fox thing. There was a couple different ones. I wanted, like, for one of the ones that I wanted to pick, I wasn't sure if I wanted to pick the monologue, but I eventually said that probably the one sketch that I loved from that one that I'll rewatch a billion times over and over the America's Most Wanted former child actors. So basically, what they do is, so they have like everybody like Dan Bonaducci, and everybody's like a different child actor. So Michael J. Fox is playing Danny Bonaducci, and Chris Farley's in it, and he's playing Mindy from Facts of Life, which was ridiculous on its own. So at some point, they have like all these other people, like people from different strokes or whatever, different characters. But then they have Michael J. Fox to come in and be like the voice of reason. And I think it was David Spade who played him.
Yeah.
Here's the problem with this sketch, because I don't think that this aged well, because if you remember Michael J. Fox back in the day, he used to do, all like the weird movements and stuff. We didn't realize that was like early symptoms of what he eventually suffered from. So when you're watching the sketch, like before you knew any of that, comes into play, it's hysterical, because there's a part in it where David Spade is doing Michael J. Fox so much to a point where you look at Michael J. Fox as Bonaducci, and he's starting to get like a little pissed off with the accuracy of the portrayal. but I love that sketch. It's just so ridiculous. Just that whole episode too, because that's the monologue was like was cool, because it was like they go in and then it's like a Back to the Future spoof. So then all of a sudden Doc comes in and says, "Oh, Marty, you got to go back. You're going to bomb the monologue." So they keep going back and back to try to fix the monologue. And it's like, I think David Spade, obviously, I want to say Dana Carvey, and I think Dennis Miller was involved as another Michael J. Fox.
Was it like a Michael J. Fox family reunion kind of thing?
Something like it. They just kept going back to the future, so they had like different Michael J. Foxes. But that was a fun episode.
I saw Dennis Miller twice out in public, and he just seems like an asshole. I mean, I guess he kind of is now, but because like after 9/11, he completely changed. Because I used to like his show on HBO. And then it was like the end when he would do all the news. And one time I was driving to, I think, an art museum with a college classmate, and then we saw him in a hansom cab thing with his wife. And I went and screamed out the window, "Hey!" And he kind of like looked at me. and then another time we were in Vegas, I think, and he was walking through the casino, and I was like, "Yeah, I don't know when that was, maybe 2004, but I'm like, that's my Dennis Miller story." Going back to Matt, did you have anything to add of like any sketches or anything?
Old stuff, like Dana Carvey type of stuff, the church chat, and when he did like chopping broccoli back in the day, that was a classic.
Well, just the stand up back then was hilarious.
Oh yeah, it's one of my. I should go seek that out and watch it.
I think it's probably on YouTube, probably.
Yeah,
I think I think when he did his recent, well, I guess the most recent special on Netflix that he did, that was really good. I think he brought back some of the classics.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen that one, that was good.
I think I have, yeah.
What was it? When he makes
once or twice.
Yeah, when he makes fun of his kid, for his kid's reaction, "This is a bunch of fucking bullshit."
And now his kid's a stand-up too, right?
Really?
Yeah.
I have to look that up.
Well, you listen to him on doing all the stuff with Conan, right, on his podcast?
Oh, that was great.
I was so glad they did like a spin-off thing. I would listen to that as soon as they would launch it. Of just all the. I was like had tears in my eyes driving because I was just like so good, like just Paul McCartney and John Lennon like, "Oh, so this is an iPhone." And then he would do like, and then what the hell what's this Johnny Carson and the Hook and Crook and I was having a highball at
the old Hook and Crook.
Yeah, like those old timey bars. Yeah, if anyone hasn't heard those Conan and Dana Carvey podcasts, they're maybe like only 20 minutes long, but highly recommend listening to those. I'm
it was like
not doing that justice.
Yeah, it was like a series of 6. I mean, I don't know if does he do like a paywall thing? Like after he puts X amount of episodes up, the rest of them, the older ones, move to them now.
And then Conan's coming back without an audience soon. I guess he's just going to do everything over his iPhone. I'm like, that's what seems like everyone's doing. It's like every musician has a Facebook Live thing going on at the same time. I'm like, can you guys coordinate a little bit? And then,
I think some of them are really done good. Like there was one last Saturday night because what happened is the band Code Orange from Pittsburgh, they were going to do their CD release party. It was kind of a big deal because Roadrunner has been pumping a ton of money in.
CD?
For Code Orange.
What's the CD?
Chris is not getting our joke. Compact disc. No. Oh, that's what it is.
Yeah, but no. So Code Orange did this whole like show where they streamed it. It was like a media experience thing, and they cut the whole thing together with the guy from Hate 5-6. So I thought it was amazing. I thought it was like a huge groundbreaking thing. And now every other band's just like, hey, here's our camera on us. And it's just like these guys
so
like
when
put all this production into it. They did this on last Saturday night because what they were originally supposed to do was their record came out like the day before, and that was supposed to be their record release party.
Okay.
But obviously, no crowds at the show kind of messed that up.
Yeah, because then the Dropkick Murphys did it on a YouTube stream, and then they had like some professional. They pretty much were doing it in a club and had professional lighting and cameras, and then I guess it broke records of it was like 5 million people watched on St. Patrick's Day.
Do you know if they did that from House of Blues or did they? Because usually when they're up here,
it was in Boston somewhere, so I don't know exactly where it was.
Yeah, I think last year what they did, or maybe it was the year before that. Basically, they did 7 days the show straight.
Well,
so
yeah, they do that.
They had the House of Blues, but then I think they added in some surprise shows. Like I think they did one at Paradise Rock Club, which was like it's insane to think.
I'm sure if you watch it, you would probably recognize it. I'm not familiar with Boston clubs, so it's they were.
It doesn't mention it on their page right now.
Are you looking? Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm trying to think. So last night after I was doing no research for this, just research as just looking up lists of SNL sketches. I was thinking of all the recent memory is Kate McKinnon doing Miss Rafferty stuff, and like every time she does it, I just like I have tears in my eyes laughing because it's like she just has every like funny nickname for her lady parts. It's like Pink Pocket and Stink Rocket and like all this, like every time there's something new each time. But what's even funnier is to seeing people break when she's doing it. Is like Bobby Moynihan and Edie Bryant and then I guess the most notorious one was Ryan Gosling. Just like he had to put his shirt in front of his head because he was just like it was like laughing so much. And then she's like touching like Cecily Strong's boob, and she's like everyone's just laughing. So it's like every time they do that, I hope they continue doing that character. I don't know if they done it recently though. Maybe with Paul Rudd.
They did it with Matthew McConaughey. I thought. When was that?
I think they did. I think Paul Rudd was only like 6 months ago, so maybe that was the beginning of the season. Okay. So I hope they do it again. That is as far as like the newest sketch that I really like, or recurring
typical
character.
SNL though, they just try to drive it into the ground, and it becomes kind of just formulaic and it's not like funny anymore. It loses its edge.
Well, I was gonna bring up like some sketches that I can stand. Where is Pete Davidson's Chad, which is the most. They keep that in the pump. The Tom Hanks, the Henry S. Pumpkins or David.
I don't get that.
I don't get it either. It's like it's just 2 stupid sketches that they keep trying to force to make you like, oh, this is funny. And people dressing up for it for Halloween. I'm like, no.
I thought when they had it the first time it was funny, but then I was like, they were like, oh, check out this David S. Pumpkins cartoon. And I was like, oh my God, what did I do watching this, man? This was not good.
I didn't want to sit through that. It's like some sketches they like, oh, well, it worked the first time, which is shove it in your face to see if people will like it. But it's like with Pete Davidson, it's like I like when he does like his kind of almost like stand-up material when he's on Weekend Update. I just don't like this Chad character. Like, I don't know.
I just watched him on that Hot Ones, which was he was pretty funny on that.
Well, it's kind of weird. Like you'll go through these periods where it'll be like a lull, and it's like, you know, maybe the cast just isn't that spectacular, or maybe it's something that like you'll catch on a little later. Like, oh man, I missed out on this. You know,
it takes a few seasons for certain people to stand out. Like when they announced when a lot of people left and some people came out, and it's like the new guys, the guys that played Donald Jr. and Eric Trump, like those two guys are funny. Mikey Day and I forget the other, Alex Moffat, his name is, or something. Those two guys stand out. Of course, Kate McKinnon, I think, is the star.
Oh yeah.
I'm trying to think of other people that have been. I mean, even like Weekend Update has been really good lately. With like Michael Che just like doesn't give a fuck anymore, and he's like just drinking alcohol like right on the set kind of thing. And the best is between those two is like when they start like writing the jokes for each other, and then like Michael Che usually does all these like kind of like racist jokes, and that makes. And then they keep poking fun of that. He's like poking fun in a way of him that he's married to Scarlett Johansson. But I'm like, just
did they get married or they're engaged?
They're engaged. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Did I miss the news?
No, they're engaged. But yeah. But I'm trying to think. And then of course, I mean. One of my favorite all-time favorite is MacGruber, just because I love MacGyver, and just like someone actually going out there and making a somewhat almost better MacGyver in a way of just it was the same sketch over and over again, but it was still funny every time. And then they made this movie, and then I must have been like the only one that actually loved it, because it took forever for people actually like to enjoy it, and it's like became like this cult comedy in a way, and now they're reviving it, and I think it's gonna be on Peacock or something, Matt.
I think so. Yeah, it's one of the NBC streamers.
They're gonna put it on. Okay, what streaming service you use? Oh, okay, we're gonna put it on the other one that you don't subscribe to. Give us your money.
Well, is Peacock gonna be like kind of Hulu, where it's kind of sponsored ads? And not
some of it's free, but to start, and you'll be watching a lot of commercials, and then if you don't want the commercials,
it's like, hey, you want to see Reno 911 again? Yeah, I do. Guess what? It's on Quibbly. What's Quibbly? Put it on something I already subscribed to, man.
Still don't understand that one. What's the name? Why that name?
Wait, I never heard of that one. What is that?
Oh, Quibbly. I guess it's like a new comedy thing, because I guess Hulu has like a Disney Fox affiliation, so that's why nothing's going. Yeah, so that's why nothing's going straight to there anymore.
All right, you guys got any more sketches that come to mind?
Oh, I still have a couple more. I mean, I kind of like when I went through and picked most of my sketches out, a lot of them kind of came from that whole time period from season 14, 15, and 16, because those were the ones that I would heavily see in reruns.
What is that in years? I can't remember in fucking seasons. For this
those would be like 89 to 91.
Okay. So Phil Hartman and Mike Myers, Dana Carvey. Okay.
Oh, yeah, all those. John Lovitz, Kevin Nealon. Although all the sketches that I picked didn't really have Kevin Nealon in them, but like all of them, like Jan Hooks, I love that whole cast to death. So to me, that's kind of like that's my number one cast. But like one of the one sketches that I called this one out a couple days ago because I went nuts about it. So there was season 16, episode 5. Jimmy Smits was the host. So they did this one sketch.
Enchiladas.
Yeah. Oh my God. So they come in and like it's like they're in a newsroom and they're trying to go through and pick out news stories, and they're overpronouncing every ethnic word possible. So like Nicaragua.
Yeah, that's a classic one. Yeah.
And then he goes,
find that one online.
My name is Antonio Mendoza, and I want an enchilada.
Yeah, that's a classic
I don't think
one.
you can really find that one online unless it's
That's
like
a problem. I wish we can go back and watch a lot of these, and some of them are on YouTube, but some of them aren't. So I don't know if it's you can watch
on the SNL app they have. But
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like, so I went back the other day. I found some of these. The problem is you have to know the title of the sketch, and a lot of times you don't know that. So, like, there was another one that, like, for years I was trying to figure out what it was called. There was one with Norm Macdonald. It was like he was on a game show, and I'm like, I don't even know what this is called. So eventually I found out the name of this was Clara Turley's Bible Challenge. So the host of it was Quentin Tarantino, and this whole sketch was rooted around Norm Macdonald's character being this like kind of bum that's just kind of there hanging out. So the quiz is like a religious game show. So they would say the question, and then she would say the answer, and then you had to ring a bell to say if you were right. The whole sketch just goes off of Norm Macdonald's delivery, like, you know, so he rings a bell, it's like, I knew that. And it's just, his delivery is so dry and it's perfect. And at one point, Quentin Tarantino's character is like, excuse me, but I think he might be lying. He's like, no, I'm not lying. It's to me, it's such dry. Like, it only works
That's
with
Norm
that.
Macdonald is dry.
Yeah.
I don't know how I liked him for the Weekend Update. It just was kind of like just the way he is. I mean, he was great as Burt Reynolds for Celebrity Jeopardy.
Oh, yeah.
What does Scrappy do?
Yeah, you like this hat?
What was I watching last night? Oh, I was watching. I posted it on my Facebook. The live sketch with like Margot Robbie, and she's like this hot girl, and Kenan Thompson's interviewing her, and then they have the dweeby guy, one of the dweeby guys that plays Eric Trump.
Day, I think.
Yeah. It was hysterical, and it was everything was like one thing after another, and they're all asking
married
questions.
to this guy. Is that the one?
Yeah, that one. They're like, oh, he must have a very like a tree trunk or whatever. And
yeah,
like,
sometimes they have that, and sometimes they have ones like the Christopher Walken. What was it, like the Mr. Cunnilingus or whatever? Like those like wordplay kind of sketches that are just like, oh
we
man,
were too little at the time to see that. And now it's like I can go back and I get the humor.
Yeah.
What about the one with I guess it was like a series of them where like it was Christopher Walken, and he was like, he had the person where I guess he was like on a date, and he was like talking directly to the camera, and you'd only see like the hand. It'd be like a glove or something like that.
The Gentleman or something, I think it was called.
Yeah.
Something, I forget what that was.
That was another one that was 100% pure his delivery that was just great.
Yeah, because they do that every time he hosts, but I can't figure out what the name of the sketch is. The commandment, the sweet, it's something. I don't know.
I thought it was the Continental.
Continental, I think that's what, or something like that.
Yeah, I think it's the Continental.
Matt's looking it up. I'm like, I'm not looking up things.
Yeah.
I'm just going off memory. And then, I mean, of course, we can segue into that as more cowbell as being one of the most notorious sketches. I mean,
guys, I got a fever.
There's so many T-shirts, so many people doing those lines. It definitely one of the most quotable sketches of the last 20-something years or more. Well, was it 20? I don't know. Was that 90s or was it early 2000s?
I think, I don't know.
I think Will Ferrell was like the 2000s, which it's like every time it was like a new decade, like oh man, no one can top the 90s after everyone bitched like there's no funny episode since then. And then Will Ferrell, Kristen Wiig, and other, even though I don't like Kristen Wiig's Target Lady, she did plenty of other stuff that I liked. It's like every time there's like a new cast members that just stand, like Bill Hader, like people show up.
Actually, that sketch turns 20 on April 8th.
Oh.
So, wow. So, in case you wanted to feel old, that's how old that sketch is.
Yeah, wow. Okay.
Yeah, of course, that makes us feel old, but not talking about like Dana Carvey and John Lovitz sketches from the 80s. No, that's perfectly fine.
Hello and goodbye. Yeah.
Yeah, another one that I guess if we're bringing up John Lovitz, I had to put at least one of his on my list. So there was a one from season 14 that was just so ridiculous, and like I said earlier, very huge reflection of my sense of humor and the way I conduct myself in my daily life. So John Malkovich is the host, and it's like this old, like, I don't want to say like medieval, but like it's like very like old fancy like period of time. So John Lovitz is like John Malkovich is this I guess he's like a king or something like that, and he keeps having these people come in from his kingdom to say, hey, this is what's going on, and then he thinks they're making fun of him, so he's like, you mock me. So in the background you have Dana Carvey and John Lovitz, and every time he turns around, you see John Lovitz and Dana Carvey like mocking and imitating him.
Oh, okay.
And it's just ridiculous. And then it's like after about the third person, he's like, I'm tired, I'm going to sleep. So he goes in the back, and then you just see John Lovitz and Dana Carvey openly mocking him, and then John Malkovich comes out, sees it, just kind of stares at him. That's the end of the sketch.
You like some weird ones. I mean, is that one online anywhere to watch?
Yeah, I think I found that. I don't know if I posted that online.
It's like some sketches are kind of hard to describe. Like I don't know. Maybe this was another dry episode. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it was like there was one episode though that I do want to talk about that was just straight up weird. So we talked about the Eddie Murphy season and everything, and that was like that was like hysterical. But then they had that 1 year that was just weird. I think it was like 85 or something like that.
Like Robert
where
Downey
they just
Jr.?
where they had like the weirdest cast, and there was
Anthony
one episode.
Michael Hall and
yeah, well, they fired. Wasn't it like Lorne Michaels got fired, but then he was rehired or something?
Yeah,
he wasn't in charge of that season. That's why.
Yeah, and you think like, oh wow, Anthony Michael Hall. You hear Robert Downey Jr. You think like, oh well. Now you look back, you're like, oh, he's great, he's hysterical. But like, there was one episode where it's like, I guess Francis Ford Coppola was the host, and they tried to make this weird surrealism thing, and it was just the weirdest episode that's ever been made of the show.
I don't think I've ever seen any of that season.
You're probably. I think you're better off because I mean, even when you see those episodes pop up on Comedy Central, they're like, yeah, maybe I'll go outside and play basketball.
Like even the first season, like even seeing the really really old ones, like some of them are okay, but it's like I've always been like the 80s 90s was like my era for SNL. Even like 2000s I liked. It was like Will Forte. Like he was a standout for me as far as the characters, like the Falconer and MacGruber, and then it was like Jim Brewer. I liked like a lot of some of I didn't like Goat Boy, but I liked the Joe Pesci show. And then like the best one was when I think it was Joe Pesci and De Niro showed up on the show, and it was like him and was it Alec Baldwin? That was with the reason.
Yeah, I think he was playing.
Oh no, it was Colin Quinn and Jim Brewer, and then De Niro and Pesci beat the shit out of him with baseball bats.
Oh yeah, that was a good one. I forgot about that one.
Yeah, it's like the Joe Pesci show, and one that's kind of that I always loved. That was a pre-taped one, which is kind of puts a damper on things now because it had Kevin Spacey in it. It was the Star Wars audition tapes, and Kevin Spacey did all these great impressions of like Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau and other people, and it was just such a. I think that was like one of the really first ones he started doing, like the audition tapes, and then because they started doing that throughout the years, just on and off during certain things. Like they still do them, but it's just very sporadic that they do them. But that was like the first one that really stood out. And then they did it again, again. I don't know if he hosted it again, and then they did it. But yeah, that one was definitely like one of my favorites. That the first time I saw it, I was like dying laughing. Matt, you got anything to add?
I was watching I was watching the Thanksgiving. It was a pre-recorded one with Matthew McConaughey, and they were all like get sucked into the Adele song.
Oh, they're all talking about politics.
Yeah, they're all like politics and being racist, and all of a sudden they all get sucked in, and they're all like the one girl's rolling around in the leaves, and they're all touching him with the fingernails, and that one I was watching like, that last time, I was howling laughing.
We keep talking about a lot of the new ones because it's like the most fresh in our memories. It's like the one
where a lot of shit too. Like there's like sometimes you get lucky if you find one good sketch out of a whole night.
Yeah, like I think recently the RuPaul episode, I'm like I turned it off. I'm like this was terrible. But there's been other ones that have been good this season. Ones with like John Mulaney one has always been good with him and David Byrne.
I think most of the time, if you guys post something up, then I'll be like, I guess I should go back and watch this show. That's pretty much my reference point for this. Should I check this out? Will this be funny?
Usually my tweets are like, oh, this person's limp syncing again. It's during the performance. You got to perform. You can't sing and do that at the same time.
I feel like the performance are amped up a bit this year. Like they're more artistic and more.
Yeah.
They're just trying to be funky and weird, and
so they can get away with lip syncing.
Well, no, there's other people like the ones I loved was the Weeknd. He came on and he played. That was a lot of that was really entertaining. And then the week before was David Byrne and the America Utopia. That was I keep going back and watching some of that. It was so fun.
Yeah, that David Byrne one was great. I mean, I was just like, wow, man, he's still got it. And then of course you see the comments. He never lost it.
Did I ever tell the story on this podcast about we saw him at the Middletown Galleria?
Oh, really?
We went to go see, I think we went to go see The Patriot.
No, he went to see The Patriot. We saw Perfect Storm.
We were seeing Perfect Storm. And then we were about to, I don't know if we got out of the theater and everyone was like looking around and all of a sudden we see this tall dude wearing a white suit and wingtips. We're like, what the fuck is this guy doing? And I was like, holy shit, it's David Byrne. He was like with his daughter and like a friend. And so then we ended up just kind of like watched, like we didn't say hi or anything, but we just kind of like followed him.
We noticed him though.
Yeah, we noticed him. So then we kind of just started following him through the parking lot to see where he was going. We're like, I don't know how he ended up in Middletown, but
just passing through, I guess.
Yeah,
maybe.
It's like going to the movie theater. Everyone's like all the movie people that are working there, like the old German lady and another.
Was he like, this is not my beautiful movie theater?
How did I get here?
I might find myself on 4th of July watching The Patriot.
Yeah, it was like 4th of July weekend.
So just to kind of backtrack on that a little bit.
What?
You said you saw him wearing the white suit. It wasn't the big one.
No, it wasn't the big one, but it was one that fit him.
Was it a suit? I don't remember a suit. I remember the wingtips, though.
He was wearing a white suit. He stood out. Like he's 6'4" or something, and he's wearing a white suit in Middletown with wingtips.
Just for the purpose to make this story more ridiculous.
But it wasn't the big overall jacket from...
Let's just say it was that, okay? 'Cause it just makes this more ridiculous. Because, I mean, him being in Middletown is ridiculous. You know,
and then we blinked, and then he was in a smaller version of himself in the same giant suit. Yeah. But, yeah, I would like to go see that. But tickets are like $250 or higher.
To start, yeah.
To start.
Probably sitting in nosebleeds.
Don't worry, it's probably already canceled. Everything's canceled.
Well, everything's canceled, but I think Spike Lee's going to be making a film version for it, so we can save our money and just watch it then.
Well, if he can get in Madison Square Garden, because I think he's got a spat with the Dolans now, right?
Who? Oh, Spike Lee?
Yeah, apparently he was using...
So maybe they squash things.
No, apparently he was using a celebrity entrance, and the Dolans probably put their foot down and said, "You can't come in here. You're not a part of the team. You have to use the regular entrance."
He's like, "Fine, your team sucks anyway." So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's like a season ticket holder for life. They should be thanking him at this point.
Yeah. Well, they kick out former Knicks players like Charles Oakley? I think they kicked out and had had lawsuits and everything. And it's like, man, that franchise. I complain about the Rangers, but man, that franchise is 10 times worse.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, let's go back to SNL. One I was actually just watching just before we came on was Astronaut Jones with Tracy Morgan, which was like the Britney Spears one Where it's just like, it's like that. As long, it's like the sketches is at the same every time. I don't know. Maybe it's just the ones I like all the time are the same type of sketches where it's very the long theme song and then it's the girl alien and he's like, yeah, when we just lift up the chest and let me tap that fat ass. You know.
Well, what is it? My other favorite sketch of his was, I'm Brian Fellows.
Yeah,
that bird is crazy.
After it's like
something wild.
Like sometimes like I didn't get it at first, but then they kept doing it, and it's like, all right, I like. It's like the same thing like Ladies Man. It's like, ooh, it's a lady, and like
Cavatier.
And then they tried making that into a movie, and it was like, no.
So as far as the SNL movies, which ones haven't you seen?
Night at the Roxbury's, I haven't seen. I didn't see the Molly Shannon one, the Catholic girl.
What about the Pat movie? Did you ever see that?
No, and I don't think. That's probably not a good sketch to bring up in this day and age.
Oh yeah, that's another. I mean, it's so weird. There's a lot of things like that probably haven't aged well. Like I remember there was the fake beer commercial. What was the Schlitz gay?
No, it's Schmidt's gay, but it's
Schmidt's gay.
I was actually gonna bring that up as being one of the. That's definitely one of the memorable, funniest things. And being
it worked so well though with the Van Halen song, and then for licensing reasons they had to change the song, and it just didn't work as well.
And then the ambiguously gay duo, which I think started out on the David. Did it start on the Dana Carvey show or? I think, and then they brought TV Funhouse to SNL. There's actually a really good documentary on Hulu about Dana Carvey's show, which I was watching that when I had the flu last year.
Yeah, I'd strongly recommend watching that. Yeah. Also, too, I guess little interesting point too. If you watch the Dana Carvey show, like I used to live in Rockland County, New York. There's a couple locations that they filmed there because I guess some directors or something was there. Like all of a sudden I'm like, well, that's the New City Bowling Alley. It's so weird. And I'm just like, wait, I was living there and Dana Carvey was like right there and I live right there. Why wasn't I there?
Yeah. And speaking of Dana Carvey, like I was actually watching this one last night, just cracking up laughing, which I think it might have been on. He might have brought it over to Dana Carvey show as well. Was the Tom Brokaw pre-tapes. It was like Harold Ford got mauled by wolves.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, I'm like, oh man, I remember seeing that live, and I was just laughing my ass off. As far as like who would you put as your top 3 favorite all-time cast members? I would think Dana Carvey would have to be up there for me. I don't know. Will Ferrell, Dana Carvey,
Chris Farley, Will Ferrell.
Yeah, it's tough. Like Eddie Murphy, of
Dana
course.
Carvey or Phil Hartman, maybe.
Yep, definitely Phil Hartman.
Phil Hartman too. The anal retentive carpenter, anal retentive. Yeah, his little cozies for all his tools, and oh man.
You know what was a good sketch too for Phil Hartman? You remember when he had to do the book, the audio book for the Madonna book, and he had to like read the whole thing?
Oh, was that? No, I didn't remember that one.
Because Madonna put out the book. I think it was called Sex or something like that. So he like volunteered to do the audio book. So like he's going through, like he's dressed up in like a tweed jacket and everything, very very respectable gentleman, and he's going through to read this disgusting book.
Yeah, and then towards the end, he did Phil Hartman did Bill Clinton, and then I think Daryl Hammond took over, which I think he did a better job. But Phil Hartman, man, he had so many good sketches, but I'm trying to think of the other ones he did besides like Colin Blow. I think he did Reagan too at some point.
The Caveman Lawyer.
Caveman one, like, yeah, it's like he had certain sketches that weren't really reoccurring besides the anal retentive one, but yeah, and then no, go ahead.
Also, too, when you go back to that era, it's hard to not bring up the Jack Handy little bits.
Right, that's what I was gonna bring up. Yeah.
Oh, those are great.
Now, was he a writer on the show, or like was it just like some one-off thing? Like I don't really know too much about Jack Handy or Handy.
I think
he was a writer on the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like some were just like just perfect humor, and other ones were like kind of scratching my head, kind of like what? But it's just that's what made it genius. That was definitely just. They're just like it's all the pre-taped stuff that wasn't live.
I mean, they also had some pretty ridiculous sketches too. When you go back to that whole era, like you remember Toonces' Driving Cat,
right? Yeah. The one with Phil. This is the one I was thinking of. Phil Hartman when they did like it was the Olympics on like every drug known to man, and he did the weightlifting thing, and it was just like he lifted up the bar and all his arms fell off, and it was just bloody. It was something like that Mighty Python would have done, but it was just I'm surprised NBC cleared that because it was beyond gross to see like his like this blood dripping from his arms. So it was such a good. Oh, and then I was one that just popped into my head that I didn't actually have on my list was it Jason Priestley doing the figure skating?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And he was all bleeding and cut up. Was it Chris Farley in that one too? Or was Chris Farley doing that with Nancy Kerrigan? Was that when she was on?
I think so. I think she was with Nancy Kerrigan.
And it was like Chris Farley, and then they couldn't pick him up or something, or I don't know. And then going back to Will Ferrell ones, I ones that just keep popping in my head. It was get off the shed, and then stay on the bag for the baseball version of it. And I think that was like that was the first sketch I think where I knew like Will Ferrell was going to be a breakout star in that show. Was that one? And then the one commercial when he's talking to the dog, he's like, "You're a fucking dog," like dissing your dog. I think it was called. But I was like,
there's another
many good commercials. Which one?
Oh yeah, another one we missed out on, I guess, from the Dana Carvey era. The classic Hans and Franz. I mean,
right?
You're talking about like Arnoldisms that Arnold didn't even say, but he later incorporated them into his whole thing.
Listen to me now, listen to me later. Yeah.
Because I remember when he was running for the recall election, he went and he called his opponent an economic girly man. Like, oh my God. I'm like, you think about the things. I know we're in an era now where our president just says whatever the heck he wants, but like, you think about like when someone would say something like that, you think it would sabotage their election, but he won that election, and he was the governor of California.
Speaking of like the presidents, let's talk about like the presidents on the show over the years. Now, I can think of a bad one that was the worst was Fred Armisen doing Obama. It was like they just couldn't figure out the Obama situation. First, they tried doing the one that's like sounded like him. Like I don't know. I think at that time they should have done what they did with Trump as bringing an outsider to do Obama, but for some reason they just like had Fred Armisen who looked nothing like him. He was white, and then like it was just like this caricature of it. It just wasn't funny. I mean, I guess it's kind of tough. I'm like, I'm sure there was a way that you could have done Obama funny. I guess Key and Peele did it better, honestly, because they did like the angry version of what he was saying.
Oh yeah.
But for some reason, later, I can never forget Obama.
What was it? I think Jay Farrow took over.
Yeah, and he did a good impression of him, but I don't know if it wasn't really. But he didn't really last too long on the show because he didn't want to be the, just the guy that had maybe 2 sketches, maybe an episode.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I think they get a little too crazy with the political sketches where they're trying to put people in to just kind of fill a role that maybe it just doesn't match up. I mean, you have to think it's like when you go back, you always think of the iconic Dana Carvey, George Bush, and that was untouchable. And it's like you think Phil Hartman, Clinton, and then
it was like Alec Baldwin did well in the beginning as Trump, but then it just became like it's so hard to parody him as he's just a fucking walking idiot. But it's like it gets to the point where they would just mimic what he was saying, and it just wasn't funny anymore. It was funny the first. It was actually like what's her face doing Melissa McCarthy doing Sean Spicer, like that was funny with like the motorized podium, and like Tina Fey doing Sarah Palin. And And even like Larry David as Bernie Sanders, like lately has been.
Yeah. That's a perfect one, and I can't imagine them doing anybody else in that role. I mean, it's just like sometimes you find the right person, and then you have that one weird lapse where it's like, hey, maybe this cast member isn't available or the special guest. They'll have someone else come in and do it. It's just like, just don't.
Yeah, they would always they would bring in all these cast members like from past seasons and or celebrities. It's like you couldn't find someone to do this in the current cast. If I was in the current cast, I'd be like, what the fuck? I'm trying to think of other ones that we haven't covered. Well, we should probably wind down. Matt, I think you listed the Star Wars Adam Driver ones. Like Adam Driver has been great.
Those are classics. Yeah, I was loving it. The first one is really good. The second one was funny, but the first one was just hysterical.
Yeah.
And then there was one that he was on this season that I was just dying laughing. He was a science teacher, and they had the kids on, and they were just not listening to him, and they kept saying inappropriate things, and he's like, "No, this is where why?" Oh God, it was so funny. I gotta go back and rewatch that.
Yeah, that was a good. The one with John Mulaney was good. The one with the football player that I didn't know, he had that one where it was like he was a pizza delivery guy, and it was like, and it was the name of the
Rudy spinoff one was pretty funny too.
Yeah, like there was a few of them that was sometimes like the sports guys, you don't know who they are, but like then they come and pull through and they pull a good episode.
Football player, yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, some of the players, I'm like, who the fuck's this guy? I'm like, oh, okay.
I can't believe we've gotten this far into the podcast, and like, if there's anybody that's actually like listening to this and like, God, I can't believe they didn't bring up like any of the old cast, like Chevy Chase or anybody from the '70s. Like,
I don't remember a lot of them. There's like the pizza, or the hamburger, that one, and then there was the when there was all the Marvel characters doing. It was like a Halloween party or birthday party, and then like the Hulk farted or something. like they're funny sketches and stuff, but it's not our era. Our era is like the 80s and 90s, so it's the ones that we've been talking about the most.
To play it safe, we weren't even born yet. I mean, we could play that card, right?
But
yeah, well,
but I didn't watch it back then.
Yeah, I remember there was one sketch where they did the questionable Halloween costumes where they had I think it was like there's one where they did the Michael Jackson or was it the Michael Jordan haircut cut, and it was just a bag of razor blades.
That was like the bag of glass. Was it Dan Aykroyd when he was like trying?
Yeah, Dan Aykroyd. Yeah,
and he's like, "Oh, bag of glass," and it had like, it had the little Cabbage Patch with like knives sticking out of it or something.
Yeah.
Halloween candy and stuff. It's a Halloween special.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Matt's looking it up. Matt's our resource.
No, I just wasn't looking it up. I just remember.
Oh. Sorry, I got a lot of issues. You getting tired, Matt? You getting tired? Oh.
Past my bedtime.
Oh.
Yeah, you have to go to sleep so you can come out and sit on your couch tomorrow like the rest of us.
I know. We're talking. We're interacting. It's good. Well, we get an hour, but okay. Let's wind down here. Let's see. I have commercials. I got the Love Toilet. I got Colon Blow. I got Oops, I Crap My Pants. Mom Jeans. Stefan, Matt Foley, Chris Farley, and of course that was White Like Me, the Eddie Murphy. I think that was by far his best one. Was I'm buying this newspaper.
And then they started doing. They used to the last couple of years they started doing because of commercials. People were fast forwarding. They were actually incorporating real brands into commercials. So they were doing the little pizza bite things. That's a real product, and like they're all watching the game or whatever, and she's like the wife's off in the kitchen making these things. And then there was one with Macy's they just did recently that was pretty funny. And like the one where all the parents and stuff were like bitching about getting their kids into clothes and stuff. And
oh god, that was a perfect one.
Oh, that was good.
It was the winter season for Macy's. That's right. Yeah, and I was like putting I'm like, oh man, whoever wrote this isn't parents.
But I read something that they actually that's their way of having like a company sponsor. They're like, all right, well, we're gonna do an ad. We're gonna actually you're gonna pay us, and we're gonna pretty much be able to make fun whatever you want of your brand, but you get your brand out there with a viral.
That was the most realist commercial ever. Like you know this, Brian, because I mean you've got the little one there, so you know that struggle, man.
I can't get Connor to put on a different type of hat. He's had the same winter hat for 3 years that hasn't probably been washed, but he wanted to wear it today. I'm like, dude, it's 75 out. He's like, has a very structured way of I had to convince him he outgrew a jacket, so I had to make him change a new jacket. So it was like some of these things. It's like, yeah, that person that wrote it is a parent, and I think it was Mikey Day, and I think his wife or somebody else that wrote it. But yeah, that was definitely a highlight. But I'm trying to before we end, is there any cast members that you just couldn't stand every time they came on? I was like, the most recent one is Kyle Mooney ones. I don't like him. Like an Adam Sandler, Pete Davidson's kind of 50-50 with me. I'm trying to think if there's any Adam Sandler ones I actually liked. I think Opera Man sometimes I actually liked.
Oh, that was annoying.
But it's annoying, but some of them are funny. But I'm like, yeah.
Go
ahead.
Like Fallon, Fallon was like, I don't know, man. I just never really liked him, and you could tell when you were watching the show that Lorne just was in love with him, so that's why he was all over the place, and I kind of dialed out a little bit during that time period because of it.
He had a weird phase, like when he was on Weekend Update with Tina Fey, that he almost kind of looked like Michael Jackson for a spell, because he was like, he had kind of long hair. Go back and look at the videotapes. He looks like Michael Jackson. He had it almost looked like he had like long hair like him. It was kind of weird. And it was but I don't know.
Of course, you say this now when Pete Davidson is in outer space.
Yeah, I foresee him. I think he said recently, he's like, "Oh, everyone chooses me like the stupid guy." I'm like, "Well, maybe because you play that every character is like that. Maybe I don't know that stupid." Character.
There was a recent Conan O'Brien episode where they were talking about him, and they just said like he's just on this another plane. He's really funny, but he's just so out there as a human being when you talk to him.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't. I guess he has a new stand-up. I didn't see it, but some of the stuff that when he's on Weekend Update, it's hilarious. But then he's not really like a sketch guy though. Like he's just kind of like a doofy kind of character in the background half the time for most of the stuff. But yeah, I was 50-50 with like Fred Armisen. Some stuff I didn't like of him. I liked when he would do like he did like the punk band at the wedding. It was like I think that
was great.
Foo Fighters, but that was Dave Grohl was there, and it was like Bill Hader, or it was Ashton Kutcher I think was playing. And it was like they were playing a punk band at a wedding. Like that was like one of I think the best. And then and Fred Armisen doing the Queen, and then like Kate Perry, and they're all like it was like they were playing ska towards the end. But there's when he did the Tito Puente type character, that was good too. But I think he shined more in like Portlandia. I think just because that universe worked because it was like 100% his sense of humor. It's just like sometimes when you watch certain comedies, like they have certain appeal. Like there's the one show with Louis Anderson and Zach Galifianakis. I forget what it's called, but it's like Baskets or something.
Yeah, Baskets. I can't explain to you how it's funny. It's just this weird, tragic humor thing that when you watch it, like you just can't turn away. Kind of like, and I know this is stretching, but the Joe Pera show. I watched that, and it's like one of the Joe Pera show. Joe Pera Talks with You on Adult Swim.
Oh,
it is one of the most bizarre shows. And it's like
if it's on Adult Swim, it's bizarre. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just I can't like not watch it. Like I just feel like I have to watch it. It's just his delivery is just so polarizing.
Well, I think we lost Matt. I think he's sleeping.
Yeah, I gotta go to bed.
I think we ran out of steam with this episode. This is good. We listed a lot. Now I feel like going back and is there a way we can watch this? Is it on Hulu? Is it NBC.com? You said or Saturday Night Live?
NBC.com. Some of these sketches or the SNL app.
When they had the anniversary, I think last year or whenever it was 2 years ago, that's when they had all the episodes on there again. I gotta go track them down and watch them.
It's probably also airing in syndication on some channel you don't get on your cable provider, YouTube TV, or anything you're actually subscribed to.
I don't think so. I don't know because I don't know if it is or not. I think probably NBC at some point, their probably syndication deal probably went through, and it's now just strictly on NBC, and that's it. Which I wish it was on like Netflix or I used to be on Netflix, right?
Yeah. I mean, that was a long time ago, but like I was saying, a lot of those episodes are like heavily butchered. So it's like,
because they don't have a lot of times they don't do the music acts on them either. And
that sucks because that was such a huge charm of that show when, because I mean, that was like you had that exposure, you watch MTV, then you see a live performance you couldn't see. I mean, before YouTube, that's how we saw bands live, if we didn't see them in person.
Yeah, I hate like certain shows. I think it was like Wings is one where they're on streaming platforms, but then they miss some of the episodes. So it's like you need to almost have physical media to do it, to watch it, because if not, you're missing some episodes. Because it's like sometimes they'll come back on Netflix and then it's on Hulu, but then they're missing because of one little song that played in the background of the episode and they can't play it. And it's like, well, they changed it, like Married with Children, the theme song, they changed that. And it's like, man, they need to figure this stuff out because I want to be able to watch this stuff.
Well, when I watch the wrestling from Japan, they'll do things like they've gotten way better at it. So they'll have like a song that's licensed. So there's some Led Zeppelin Immigrant song that one of the guys comes out to. So somehow they're able to mute the sound in the arena and you could still hear the commentators. They'll just replace it with some other generic sound-alike song that sounds like it. So, I mean, the technology's out there. I mean,
what was that show that it was like it was the Japanese show, but it was they would overdub it and it was
Most Extreme Elimination Challenge.
That was.
I think it's like I think the original Japanese show was like Takeshi's Castle or something like that.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, that was I wish they kind of bring that back. I used to watch that all the time. It was funny.
Oh, that was like that golden era of cable when they just like didn't care and they just put whatever crap they wanted on. Now it's just like if you throw on like True TV right now, Impractical Jokers will be on because they're on 23 hours a day.
Well, Chris Gethard's show, that was funny. I guess he has a new show actually about wrestling. I guess he's coming out.
Oh, because Colt Cabana's on that, right?
I don't know, but I saw some news that Chris Gethard's going to be talking about old-time wrestling, I guess. But I don't feel like talking about wrestling. I want to know. I mean, TV Funhouse. I wish kind of came back. I wish they used to do fun with audio. They used to do the ex-presidents. I'm sure they can do updated, but it's probably so hard to animate stuff these days. Or I mean, maybe it's easier to animate it now with with computers. But I wish they kind of would do that again. And I really wish they would do an amicably gay duo like movie or spinoff or something because I feel like you could still do that joke.
If they can cut a South Park episode like a day before it airs, I'm pretty sure it's not that much of an issue.
All right, Matt's yawning. We're done.
You're getting sleepy, very sleepy.
I would have hung up, but I'm so tired. I'm just waiting for you guys to wrap up.
Oh, you need to drink some coffee, Matt.
Yo, B, you got to wrap that up. Oh, wait, that's the wrong clip show.
Wrap it up. Next episode would be about Chappelle's show.
Oh.
All right, guys. It's good talking to somebody else besides my family that's trapped in.
Right.
Everyone be safe. Stay 6 feet away from people. Don't touch things. Don't touch your face as I'm touching my face. Everyone have a good night, and we'll be back with more episodes whenever I feel like it. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Adios.